I think we have half of some equipment, maybe 40% of some equipment working, so we don't have the imaging we need here exactly. We've erased my father from our library and history. Regardless, here, just a couple days late, is Stugotz's Weekend Observations.
Weekend Observations, brought to you by Miller Lite. I miss your dad. 96 calories available for delivery. Dan, they won 5 straight national championships and 7 and 8 years from 2005 to 2012. They went away for a bit, but recently have shown signs of a resurgence, making it to the last 5 Final Fours. Dan, that all changed over the weekend, dominating Denver and Boston College by a combined score of 33-13 en route to their 8th national championship. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, the Northwestern Women's Lacrosse Program is back. The Cats.
Led by Rachel Weiner.
Yeah, well, not really.
I mean, led by is very strong.
Yeah.
And disrespectful to a really great team. She's a freshman, earning stripes.
Exactly right. Anyone else wondering if Brooks Koepka is still awake? Anyone? There were things that were done in the Dallas-Vegas series that would have been illegal in most states. Did you watch that series?
Yeah. How mad is Canada about this Stanley Cup final match?
I think in the last 30 years, the number of Canadian teams to make the Stanley Cup final is equal to the number of teams from Florida that have made the Stanley Cup final.
Vegas and Florida, that hurts particularly if you're like Toronto.
You know what's wild is that Vegas is the far more prestigious franchise than Florida.
Yep.
5 years of existence.
Yeah, like Florida feels like the new kid on the block when it comes to hockey that
Vegas
matters.
Loses a lot less.
Le'Veon Bell said he smoked pot before games. The news here is that things that Le'Veon Bell says are still news.
That should be news, though. Like that, I mean, that used to be. If someone admitted that 10 years ago, you know how shocking that would have been.
What was that, Tone?
Randy Moss talked about smoking blunt before games all the time.
Okay. Thank you.
Tony, your microphone has to be on when
Well, I
you're
didn't think
broadcasting
another microphone was
professionally.
on at the same time, so I was just trying to make a point.
There's always a mic on, Tony. Dan, you know what the B in Le'Veon Bell stands for?
I do not.
It stands for baked. There is nothing better than hearing a bunch of loudmouth Boston fans all become silent at once. Northwestern Women's Lacrosse Team, thank you for providing me with that experience. You too, Heat. DeAndre Hopkins, Buffalo Bills, Collision Course. The Raiders can release Jimmy Garoppolo anytime they want without penalty. Dan, you know what that means. It means it's happening.
They can only release him penalty-free this summer.
It means it's happening.
Mike Ryan reported exclusively 10 days ago that Tom Brady is coming back. He reported this based on just his heart of hearts.
Las Vegas Knights or Florida Panthers. Either way, the Stanley Cup has a future date with cocaine. The French just ain't the French without Rafael Nadal. Rafa. Mike, you agree, right?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Is the French without Nadal?
We still have Gael Monfils.
That's right.
Slider man.
Yep. He's not going to win it, though. He never does.
No.
Gets to the semis and always loses.
No, it's a wide open tournament now.
Because Nadal's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Joker is.
Funny surface, though.
Well, the red courts, the red clay at Roland Garros. I mean,
good coverage. That is correct.
I'm just happy that we have something to bet on during the show.
It's a different game, Dan. It is.
Not even sure the clay's actually red.
Of course it's red.
Come on, dude.
It's like
it's red.
It's red. It's
sunrise.
At most
orange.
burnt orange.
Yeah, sunrise orange.
Red orange.
What are you doing?
What are you trying to do?
Is the grass green at Wimbledon? I mean, what are you doing?
Clay is clay.
Okay.
Yes,
clay is a clay color.
The grass is green at Wimbledon. Yeah. Just objecting to color. That's it.
Okay.
Is he going to do the thing?
In this week's edition of May, the Baltimore Ravens plan to head to London earlier than they did the last time they went to London. Also, Sean McDermott said he'll be using 2 different brains as Bills head coach and defensive coordinator. DC. You would, of course, know what that means, right, Dan?
Using 2 brains?
It would mean a couple of brains would be cutting it up. How about that? I'd settle for 1. Izzy Skane, best lacrosse player in the country, and it's not even close. The Skane train. Jimmy Garoppolo waiver. Something smells fishy. There is nothing and nobody that is more lacrosse right now than the Kavanaugh brothers at Notre Dame.
Ah, the Kavanaugh brothers.
Oh, you love them, don't you?
I went to college with their older brother, Matt, who was on the Lax team.
I mean, Notre Dame. What's a last name? O'Flaherty. I mean, like, what is a more Notre Dame?
Where's Gonzalez?
What?
Where's Perry?
Just Kavanaugh's.
I mean,
Patrick Kavanaugh's pretty Notre Dame.
I mean, honestly.
Where's
All
Pepito
of it.
Gonzalez?
Patrick Kavanaugh got a scholarship just because his name was Patrick Kavanaugh.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Does Notre Dame give scholarships just because your name is Kavanaugh?
Couple of national champions cutting it up.
If you had the actual waiver in your hands and smelled it, what you would smell is fish.
I mean, it does seem suspicious.
It's a weird clause to have. Hey, we can cut you penalty free this summer. Right now.
Garoppolo had some options.
Come on, guys. Like, they got 5 primetime games. The Raiders. You watched them last year, yes?
I'm also not totally unsure that Tom Brady isn't just petty enough to be like, look, I was a champion, and they said Garoppolo could take my job in New England. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to own the team, and my first act is going to be cutting you and becoming the quarterback.
No, my first motion in the shadows is to say we should sign you, but to a penalty-free deal. So when I come back, I cut you.
Putting in a clause. Hey, hope his agent doesn't notice a clause that Brady's putting in the contract.
It's got his former coaching the team. He's doing the exact same Dolphin plan. I don't understand.
It's happening in front of everybody.
Why am I the crazy one?
Florio's been telling you, Ben Volen. Why is no one paying attention to this? Brady has told you what the executed plan is, and he's doing it.
They're on TV the second most in the sport.
How is Brady doing this quietly? Pay attention, national media.
David Beckham said today that Brady looks bored. He was hanging out with them, and Fred Godelli said he has never mentioned broadcasting to him ever.
Fred Godelli. That's a fine.
I don't care. It's happening.
The report is that that he's going to turn down $375 million just to do this to Garoppolo.
You somehow have Devontae Adams already trashing Garoppolo. Yeah. This is
genius.
Come on, guys.
He wants to win the Super Bowl on his home stadium again in Vegas this time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that the only argument against this that anyone is making is he's not going to unretire a second
Can't do
time.
it again. We was on the sand.
It's been done.
But are they for real?
With him. With him.
Are the Raiders for real?
One benchmark at a time, Brad.
Probably the most terrifying and violent headline I've ever read involving golf. Oregon Ducks golfer Greg Schlon was forced to withdraw from the NCAA National Championship Tournament after a tee went through his shoe and impaled his foot.
Impaled is not a great verb. You
Terrible.
don't want to be around an impaling.
Was it like upside down, face up, like a thumbtack?
I think so, yeah.
Home Alone style.
Yeah.
Could you imagine him just being in the trainer's room next to members of the football team?
The hockey team.
I present to the court the whitest injury I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Golf tee impaled the foot.
Now that I really think about it, the Garoppolo waiver would be wrapped around an actual fish.
Tossing it like the fish market in Seattle.
Vegas Knights.
How can that happen quietly? That can't happen quietly. That's not allowed. People are going to be surprised when it happens, and Stugotz and Mike and Billy have been shouting this from the mountaintops. You don't think Brady's actually retired, do you?
He'll never be retired. Heat Nuggets is what keeps Adam Silver up all night in a cold sweat. Vegas Knights and Florida Panthers is what keeps Brooks Koepka up all night in a cold sweat. Poor Jimmy G. Tom Brady just continues to be a thorn in his side. You know what the T in Tom stands for, Dan? Thorn in Jimmy's side.
Or like a T in his foot.
Panthers and Knights, the rare Stanley Cup, where there will be more bloody noses in the stands than on the ice. Dan, the S in Stanley and the C in Cup stands for snort cocaine. Apologies in advance
Really?
to the entire country of Canada. A tradition unlike any other. The annual J.J. Watt Memorial Day tweet that reads, always grateful, followed by the American flag emoji, followed by hashtag Memorial Day. J.J. Watt's top 5 holidays.
Oh, wow. This
is
is
big.
exciting. This
Yeah.
is very exciting.
Number 5, World Hunger Day. He doesn't like that there's hunger, like people are starving.
Right.
He likes to solve it by
That's
himself.
right, that's
Yes,
right.
Right, exactly.
A good cause to
Thank
get
you.
behind. Anybody would get behind it.
Number 4, Memorial Day. Number 3, National American Eagle Day. Number 2, Flag Day.
Yeah.
And number 1, of course, Independence Day. Florida Marlins, worth keeping an eye on. Nick Nurse to the Sixers. Nick, welcome to the world of expectations. Enjoy. The C in Caleb Martin stands for contract extension. Lord Stanley, more like Dear Lord. I'm sorry, Stanley. There's a part of me that really wants to see a parade down the Vegas Strip. Aaron Rodgers, not sure what the hell you are on, but Lord knows I want some of it. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.